to address his presentations and requests. Quarterly financial report, Martha Carroll.
Yes, as you all received in your packet, the March financial statements, as usual, we continue to remain under budget in all of our departments, and our revenue is on track for the current year, so I just need that statement approved.
Okay. Council, you've had an opportunity to review that in your packet. What would be the will of the council?
Move to approve.
Motion to approve by Councilman Spencer,
Second.
second by Councilman Womack. Discussion. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you. Howell and the Hog request by the Kiwanis Club. Ms. Bates.
Okay, this is our 30th anniversary coming up, so we just wanted to go ahead and get our dates locked in for Howell and Hog, which will be April 14th through the 24th, 2017. So we'd like for the city to, again, be a co-sponsor with the Kiwanis Club. This is a great economic impact for the city and residents, so we'd like to do it again.
Okay. Council, you've heard the request from Councilwoman Bates in regard to Howell and the Hog and requesting that the city be a co-sponsor in the event again. It's the will of the council.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve by Councilman Spencer.
Second.
Second by Councilman Sneed. Discussion. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Unfinished business, approval of minutes of the April 12th, 2016 regular council meeting. Council, you've had an opportunity to review those. What would be the will of the council?
Move to approve.
Motion to approve by Councilwoman Alexander.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Bates. Discussion. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Minutes stand approved. Item B is the third and final reading of ordinance 982 adopting 2012 international codes for upgraded standards for building, utility codes, pools, etc. Is the will of the council on this?
Move to approve.
Motion to approve by Councilman Womack,
Second.
second by Councilman Spencer. Any discussion? Be a roll call.
Councilman Sneed.
Aye.
Councilwoman Alexander. Councilwoman Bates.
Aye.
Councilman Spencer.
Aye.
Councilman Womack.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, we'll move into new business, and I'm going to ask that if there's no objection from the council, that we table item A, B, and C, which is in regard and related to budget. We're not at a point where we need to be in regard to the budget, and we're not ready to bring it in the form of any ordinances at this point. So we need to continue to have some work sessions and work toward fine-tuning our budget some more before we bring it to the council for ordinance. So if I don't have any objections, I'd like to table those and set a work session for let's see. What does next Tuesday or Wednesday look like for y'all? 17th or 18th? Either one?
What time?
I haven't got there yet.
I'm sorry.
Those dates work either day, or is a day better for you, Councilman Spencer?
I'll be out of town that day, but
Which-
which afternoon or evening?
Which day will you be out of
The
town?
17th.
Okay. What about the 18th?
Big time.
Do you want to? When would y'all like to have a work session? Morning, afternoon? Gene, what's going to work better for you?
Morning or afternoon would be okay. I mean, I can come at 8 or 4.
Okay.
4 is better for me than 8, if that's okay.
If we were to come at 4 and work for at least a couple of hours, that's still, for people that attend, go to church, that still give them time to get to church on Wednesday night. Does that work okay for everybody?
Yes.
4 o'clock on the 18th? Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, we'll go to item D, which is the first reading of ordinance 988 rezoning Cherokee Trail subdivision to R2S medium density family residential district from R1 low density residential district. This will be we need to read this. So-
Yes.
Okay, so we'll read that.
Whereas ordinance number 506, the zoning ordinance of Winchester, Tennessee, has been adopted to regulate development within the corporate limits of Winchester in order to protect the health, safety, and welfare of citizens. Whereas the Winchester Municipal Regional Planning Commission at its meeting held May 4th, 2016, recommended to the City Council the rezoning of the property hereinafter described. Be it ordained by the Council of the City of Winchester, Tennessee, that ordinance 506 be amended to rezone the properties hereinafter described to the classification of R2S medium-density family residential district from a current classification of R1 low-density residential district. Said properties may be more particularly described to wit: being situated in the first civil district of Franklin County, Tennessee, and being situated within the corporate limits of the City of Winchester, Tennessee, and having an area of 31.98 acres, more or less, and being recorded as Cherokee Estates subdivision, a residential development of 75 lots, those being parcels 001.00 through 075.00, Franklin County Property Map 055G, Group E, and as delineated on the attached map, also being the same as the territory annexed by ordinance 867 and is originally zoned R1 low-density residential district by ordinance 873.
Okay, council, you've heard the reading of ordinance 988. What would be the will of the council?
Move to approve.
Motion to approve by Councilman Wama,
Second.
second by Councilwoman Alexander. Discussion. I do have a question, Pat. Do we have the okay, so you have that? Okay.
75% of the residents.
Okay, that was one of the things that that planning commission requested in regard to do this. I think Mr. Miller and maybe another property owner or two own the majority of the property, but we were concerned about the residents that lived there and any impact that it might have on them, and felt like that they needed to have a say in this, and so we've got the majority of those property owners by affidavit there that they're in favor of it. So that was one of the things that we asked for. Okay. Any other discussion? See that? Any other discussion? Okay, this will be a roll call.
Councilman Sneed. Councilwoman Alexander. Councilwoman Bates.
Aye.
Councilman Spencer.
Aye.
Councilman Wong.
Aye.
Okay. Okay, motion carries, passed on first reading. We'll go into item E, which is airport lease. Who's going to do that?
I can start it, and then Zachary is here to answer any questions. Part of the airport property and part of the leases for rentals are in the City of Winchester's name, and some are in the airport's name. So we thought that it would be best to have them all in one particular name. So we need to discuss which we prefer.
And as I understand it, it's not changing all of them immediately. It'll be changing those as the leases or renewed, is that correct?
A little bit of both. It would allow us to, I guess, manage the leases that are out there now. Currently, I think there are, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think 5 leases that still remain in the city of Winchester's name. If those particular lessees were to come to me needing something, not really a whole lot I could do about it to help them. But we feel that if we could get the leases transferred to Winchester Airport Authority, Inc., that would allow us to better manage those particular leases, as well as, I guess, try to bring those leases a little bit more up to date when the opportunity arises.
It sounds like you're already putting them in the airport's name.
We are, moving forward, the leases that we have done, any of the new leases we have been putting in the Airport Authority's name. But for example, the one we're going to be talking about directly after this, the EAA, there are actually 2 leases for 1 building that are in the city of Winchester's name. They're a little bit confusing. And in that particular instance, and I know we're not particularly talking about that lease right now, but we feel that if that had already been in the airport's name, we could have addressed it a little more directly and just basically removed one step out of the process towards putting a new lease into place.
Sounds like a decision's already been made to put them in the airport, so.
The way I think that the Airport Authority charters it reads is that the Airport Authority, and I don't want to overstep my bounds on the actual wording because I'm not real sure on it, but from my understanding, it kind of reads to the effect that the Airport Authority has the authority to enter into leases at the airport. The leases that we'd be discussing right now are leases that currently are still in the city of Winchester's name.
And those are leases that will be coming up for renewal.
One of them is up for renewal right now. Unfortunately, several of the others are in their option phase already, so we don't really have a good opportunity to address those leases. However, should the opportunity come up, for example, either, I hate to say, through the passing of the lessee or through other legal issues, the airport would have the authority to act on them and improve those leases, I guess.
But the reason part of those were in the city's name is because they were leases that were, that they engaged in 20 years ago.
That is correct. Actually, all of them are over 20 years old. So at that point in time, no airport authority existed as it does
Right.
today.
Zachary, also, during all this time, the airport authority actually has been handling those leases, managing those leases, and collecting those dollars.
Let me address the first part of that. Has the airport been managing them, for lack of a better term? Yes. If any issues had popped up, we would just act on them to the best of our ability on behalf of the city. In terms of actually collecting revenue for them, no. All of the leases were written almost such that no income is received for them. They were basically given away.
I understand that, but if there had been money coming in, y'all would have collected.
Again, no. I believe, and a good example of that, I think, would have been Mr. Bill Stewart and I think Mr. Carl Spray. The terms of their leases were for 20 years originally, with one option to renew for 20 years at $1 a year, and I think those monies were paid to the city of Winchester.
And what about the previous EAA lease? Did y'all collect
Same.
those money?
Same. All those leases were written the exact same way. Same wording, almost verbatim for all the leases.
So,
Beth, did we collect money at the city for that, those leases?
I remember collecting false rates. But,
Not EAA.
I'm not aware of it. It could have come through.
I wasn't aware of the city collecting any of those.
When the EAA lease was written, they were donated the land for their lease. So that's, again, one of the things when we discuss trying to clean up the leases, bring them a little bit more up to date, that's kind of what we're referring to, is that we'd like to try and clean those issues up.
Okay, so I guess from the airport standpoint, you're asking for the leases to be in the airport's name.
Correct. What we would request would be to have the leases as they exist now transferred to the airport. And that's what we're asking for in the first part. The second part will be addressing one lease in particular.
So would we be assigning those current leases to the airport? Is that the way it would be done?
Would you like to address it?
Greg, they'd be assigned to the airport?
Operationally, nothing would really change.
Yeah, I know, but-
John Colvin, who is the attorney for the authority, and I have discussed this, and essentially that's what he and I would both like to do, is make an assignment of those leases to the airport authority. Then when they're renewed, like Zach said,
Right.
deal with it that way.
Right.
And on more favorable terms to the authority than they are now, if applicable.
Yeah,
Is that
okay.
right, Zach?
Yes.
But John and I have talked about it several times, as well as this, the EAA lease too, which is coming up next.
Right, okay. Okay, council, you've heard the request from Zach in regard to leases that exist currently to be assigned over to the airport. And of course, then the new leases that come along, you're doing those anyway, so.
We are, and the way we have been handling those is, and again, you will see this coming up, is we would propose go ahead and have the authority to enter into those leases, but still bring them through the city council for approval.
Okay. Okay, council, you've heard the request. What would be the will of the council?
Motion to approve.
Okay, got a motion to approve by Councilwoman Alexander,
Second.
second by Councilman Spencer. Discussion? All those in favor, aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Zach, you want to just hang tight right there?
Sure, absolutely.
The next on the agenda is the EAA airport lease.
And would you like me to just address that directly? Okay. As we did discuss, this is one of the leases that we addressed just previously. About 25 plus or minus years ago, there were two separate leases that were entered into by the city of Winchester with and the Experimental Aircraft Association, Chapter 699. Essentially, they entered into a lease agreement, ground lease for both of them. The first one was for a structure that was approximately 42 by 36, and the second was for an additional adjoining connected structure that would be approximately 42 by 38. I think it's flip-flopped, but you get the idea. Anyway, these leases, again, were at the time basically donated to the EAA chapter for a term of 20 years initially, with an option to renew for 20 years. The first one of those leases is already in its renewal option phase. The second just came up previously. They're staggered out, so they don't begin and end at the same time, which is the first challenge that somewhat kind of existed. But we have had discussions with the EAA chapter about cleaning that lease up, going from two leases into one lease that would cover, which would cover the entire ground lease and building that already exists on it. We have agreed with them that this will not only help clean the lease up on our part, it will be more favorable to the airport authority, but will also protect the Experimental Aircraft Association Chapter 699's interests moving forward. We've spoken with Dan Greason, their president, as well as some of their other officers, and have come to terms for a lease agreement moving forward of an initial 10-year term with the two options to renew for 10 years, at which time, during those renewals, we can address any increase in lease payment at that time.
Okay. Council, you've heard the request from Zachary in regard to the EAA airport lease. It's the will of the council.
Motion.
Motion to approve by Councilwoman Alexander,
I'll second.
second by Councilman Sneed. Okay, discussion.
Question. Zachary, how do y'all come up with the value of $300 a year for renting 3,200 square feet?
This was a somewhat different lease for us. The EAA chapter is a nonprofit organization. Their mission is to promote the growth of general aviation as well as, I guess, community service as well. They do assist us in generating quite a bit of traffic through the airport every year. Several of their members also participate in their monthly breakfasts, which does, I guess, acts as a fundraising tool for local high school organizations. So we did work with them. They are not a commercial entity, so they do not generate any revenue for themselves. They're nonprofit. We came to these terms with them for them to be able to exist in their current form at the airport and continue to assist us and the community.
Well, I guess I was thinking more about the airport becoming more financially independent of the city's funds that we transfer to y'all.
I understand where your question is coming from, and the best answer that I could give to you is that there are several EAA chapters nationally. We took a look at many of the local chapters to see what was going on in terms of what was coming back to the airport in terms of lease payments. To be honest, this is one of the better leases out there in terms of the EAA chapters. Many of the chapters that exist out there have similar arrangement with local airports. They do, like I said, they don't generate any income. They're not providing any commercial service. They exist purely to promote general aviation. Other chapters that exist around locally have museums, or they find some way to kind of offset the payments to the airport, which is what the EAA chapter is doing. Many of the folks here have been to the breakfast. You know what kind of traffic they draw on those days. With that traffic, several of those aircraft that attend buy fuel from us. So they do increase the traffic, they do increase the fuel sales. So we took that into consideration when addressing this particular lease agreement.
So you put value on goodwill that they.
Correct, yes. Yeah, and I believe that is somewhat spelled out. Have you had an opportunity to read completely through this?
Yes, I did not do it. Exhibit A is it?
That has not been generated yet. That will be attached, I promise. That is actually one of the issues that we run into with a lot of the leases that were with the city. The exhibits that were supposed to be attached have mysteriously disappeared. So that is fully our intent to clean that up. But it does kind of outline a little bit of the purpose of the EAA and the lease in taking that into consideration for the dollar amount arrived for the lease.
Okay, anyone else?
Who pays the maintenance on the building?
The local EAA chapter handles all the maintenance of the building as well as the utilities. Again, this is somewhat of a different animal lease-wise. It's only intended to be a ground lease. It's a kind of an odd duck, like I said, because there's already an existing building. The original lease with the city was purely a ground lease so that they could construct a building and then maintain it. This is supplanting that lease agreement, so it is still a ground lease. It's just odd in the respect that a building already exists.
Anyone else? Okay, we got a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you, Zach. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Took you, how many years you been here?
Almost 6. July 1 will be 6.
Took you 6 years?
Yep, only took me a little less than 4 years to trigger.
Okay, item G is certificate of compliance for TJ Liquors. Dennis?
It's an annual renewal of TJ Liquor's license, and each year we have to confirm that there's not any violations or anything, and give them a certificate of compliance with our license and such, and I move for approval.
Okay, council, you've heard the request in regard to the certificate of compliance for TJ Liquors.
Move to approve.
Okay, motion to approve by Councilman Spencer,
Second.
second by Councilwoman Bates. Discussion. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you. Item H is construction change order. Ms. Rowe.
You have in your packet, change order number 3 that we were requesting in the amount of $11,895. It is budgeted under a contingency. It's for items that are unexpected. I would ask that it be approved.
Okay. Council, you've heard the request from Ms. Roten in regard to the change order. Would be the will of the council?
Move to approve.
Motion to approve by Councilman Spencer,
Second.
second by Councilman Sneed. Discussion.
Is this a new problem that they ran into?
Well, they had a plastic cover for, I think it was the AT&T box. That was kind of an expensive item, a couple $1,000. And they added an additional line of conduit, so that's what the footage, the 50-foot.
It says removal of curb, that's not something they've already done and have to take back out again.
No, it's actually on the far side of City Hall here, the Police and Fire Memorial. That was not in the contract, but if it was not removed at the time of construction, it would not be able to be removed, so we asked them to remove it. And then the dirt will be cut back to make it equal.
This conduit, is that a special conduit to each?
Not that I'm aware of.
$60 a foot. Does an engineer look over this, make sure it's right?
They actually the state has to approve it and the engineering firm has to approve it, and it has to be signed off by the council before it can be paid.
Okay, you've heard the request from Ms. Roden. Good will of the council on this change order.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve by Councilman Spencer,
Second.
second by Councilman Womack. We've had some discussion, but I'll open it up for any additional discussion. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Okay, next item is reappointment to the Planning Commission. This is a mayoral appointment. Warren Christensen has been an active member of the Planning Commission and is a very valuable person in regard to Planning Commission. He's a secretary, takes minutes, takes great minutes. He catches everything. And he's very knowledgeable and knows a lot about planning history within the city. So I would like to have a confirmation of Warren Christensen to be reappointed to the Planning Commission. So if I could ask someone for that motion to appoint him.
Motion to appoint.
Okay.
Appoint him.
Got a motion by Councilwoman Alexander,
Second.
second by Councilman Spencer. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. That concludes our meeting for this evening. We'll go into communications, council communications, Councilman Sneed.
I just want to thank the city employees, all of them, public safety and street and fire, everybody. Guys did a great job on the Dogwood Festival, and good time was had by all, and Dogwood Committee is to be commended. Beth, good job on everybody's part. We enjoyed it, and I think there was a lot of visitors here taking a look at Winchester, and that's part of what it's all about. So Good job all the way around.
Okay. Councilwoman Alexander?
I just say ditto, it was wonderful, perfect weather. Couldn't have asked for a better week.
Councilwoman Bates?
Two great dogwood event, great entertainment. We had a beer board meeting April 20th. Permit was approved for the Hangers Bar and Grill at 1019 South College Street. We have another beer board meeting May 23rd at 5 p.m. for the new owners of Charlie Wally. That's at the annex.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Councilman Spencer?
I'd just like to thank all the volunteers and the city staff for Winchester Utilities and everyone that had a part in the dogwood. It was a very successful event, and very proud of all of our visitors that we received, and got a lot of good comments from them, the ones I talked to.
Councilman Wallman?
Just want to remind everybody to spend their money at home, because sales tax is a lot better than property tax.
Yep. Indeed.
Department heads, any comments? I'd like to echo what everyone has said here in regard to the Dogwood Committee. Utilities, we couldn't put this on without utility and their help. All of the employees of the City of Winchester, and when I say all of the employees, I'm including every department. So every department, I'm thanking you for all that you did and the work that you did. Special thank you to Vicki Ackland for being the chairman for the Dogwood Festival. Steering committee for the Dogwood Committee, all the sponsors. If we didn't have sponsors for the Dogwood Festival, we for sure couldn't put this on. And so we need to make sure that we let those sponsors know that we appreciate them. Sheriff's Department, the reserve deputies, and all the citizens that volunteered. There's a lot of people that works on this, and just never would imagine how many people it takes to put it on. So thank you to everyone. Jenny, I saw you enjoying yourself there. I saw you standing up and even singing and moving a little bit. So I know that you were having a good time. I saw our representative Alexander there. He acted like he was having a good time, but he had earplugs. So, and actually, I may take that. I may use that next year myself.
It does good.
But it was a great show. He did a wonderful job, and everybody that I've talked to or heard from in regard to it, they just really had a good time. And I think he appreciated being acknowledged and all. And he had some nice things to say on Facebook about us. So it was a good weekend. Good weekend. So we appreciate it. Gene, you know how hard it is. You've done it for a couple of years, being chairman. So
Great, Gary. They did a great job.
not an easy task. And you did it before everything was flew in motion.
We team there. Yeah, we had a good team.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Had a good meeting. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, a motion to adjourn by Councilwoman Alexander, second by Councilwoman Bates. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Stand adjourned.